All right, guys, today we are going to work on putting a fraction into simplest form. So a lot of times when we've gotten an answer to a problem, an adding problem, a subtracting problem, any kind of problem where we end with a fraction, they want our answer in simplest form. Or you've heard me say, that's the correct answer, but it can be more right. That's what we're talking about today, is making these answers the most correct or the most simple that they can be. It's very, very easy to solve these if you know those multiplication facts. So always be practicing those. But for today, we're going to practice getting this fraction into simplest form. If we don't know those factors yet, there's a way that we can do it. It just takes a few more steps. So I'm going to look at the number 12/24. That's a fraction. The number is smaller on the top than it is on the bottom, so it's not improper. But I have to ask myself, can I divide the top and the bottom by the same thing? And usually if I look at it, it's a 12 and it's a 24. They both end in an even number. I can divide them both by 2 because it's even. That's a good starting spot. So if I divide by 2, on the top and on the bottom, 12 divided by 2 gives me 6. 24 divided by 2 gives me 12. Awesome. I got to keep going though. Can I divide 6 and 12 by 2 again? I can because they're both even. Divide by 2, divide by 2. I'm going to end up with 6 divided by 2 is going to give me 3. And 12 divided by 2 is going to give me 6. Now I'm looking at this again, and they're not both even, but they can both still be divided by the same number, 3. I can divide the top by 3, and I can divide the bottom by 3. 3 divided by 3, any number divided by itself gives me 1, and 6 divided by 3 is going to give me 2. That number is in simplest form. So when it's the smallest it can be, 12/24, I had to take a few steps here to find it in simplest form. That is our answer. We're going to put that in the top corner so that we remember our answer is 1/2. I'm going to show you a lot simpler of a way that has one step to find the same answer, but you have to know those factors. So that's why it's super important to be practicing them. But let's look at the exact same problem. I have 12/24. Now what we're going to find this time are the factors, or the numbers we multiply together to find a number. So let's start with 12. I can multiply 1 times 12 gives me 12. 2 times 6 gives me 12. 3 times 4 gives me 12. So those are all my factors, numbers that I can multiply together to get the answer of 12. Now I have to do the same thing for 24. I can always do 1 in the same number, 1 and 24. 2 times 12 gives me 24. 3 times 8, and 4 times 6 gives me 24. I listed all those factors. Now I want to find their GCF, or their greatest common factor. So greatest, the highest, common, they share it, and factor. So if I'm looking through here, they share a lot of factors, but I want to find the one that's the greatest. So that's going to be the number 12. That's the highest or the greatest number that they both share. If I start off by dividing these both by their greatest common factor, I'm going to get that answer a lot faster. If I divide the top by 12 and I divide the bottom by 12, 12 divided by 12, we know any number divided by itself gives us 1, and 24 divided by 12 gives us 2. I got that same answer a whole heck of a lot faster. So if you know your factors, you'll be in really, really good shape. Let's try one more. Okay, I have 6/24. Instead of starting by dividing by 2, dividing by 2, dividing by 2, let's try and find those greatest common factors. So we have to list the factors of 6 and the factors of 24. So 6, not going to be too many of them because it's kind of a low number. 1 times 6 gives me 6. And 2 times 3 gives me 6. That's it. Now I also have to find the factors for 24. We did that on our last problem. They are 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. If you're looking at it, I want the greatest, the highest, the common, they share it factor. The greatest factor between these is 6. They both share the number 6. They share a lot of numbers, but 6 is the highest. I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 6. 6 divided by 6 gives me 1, and 24 divided by 6 gives me 4. Our answer is 1/4. That's how we find the simplest form.